Yes, Trustee Atamanyk has raised a point of order, and our bylaws are based on Bournois' Rules of Order. On page 28 of Bournois' Rules of Order booklet, it talks about points of order. I understand what Trustee Atamanyk is speaking of, but that point of order should have been raised at the June 17th, 2008 board meeting. It says on page 28, a point of order must be raised at the time the alleged irregularity occurs. It is not acceptable if other proceedings have intervened.
Thank you, Brent. So I'm going to rule this motion is in order. It's liable, it can be challenged if she so desire. Trustee Atamanyk.
I'd like to motion to challenge the ruling of the board. I understand when such a motion is made that it requires a two-thirds majority to overrule the decision of the chair. So I make that motion right now, that we challenge the decision of the chair so that these two motions are declared null and void rather than either one of them being valid. And I want a recorded vote.
Is there a seconder for that challenge? Seconded by Trustee Lemlin. So under Rule 44 of our board bylaws, I will step out of the chair's role and the director will assume. Trustees, as you know, in accordance with Rule 14 of the board bylaws, the question of whether the chair's decision shall be sustained is without debate and is not amendable. And it requires two-thirds of the members present to vote in favor of overruling the chair's decision. Since there are 11 trustees present, then 8 of the 11 trustees must vote in favor of overruling the chair's decision. Is everyone clear about the motion you are voting on? Trustee Campbell.
Thank you. Just for clarification, Mr. Director, if Trustee Atamanyk's challenge of the chair goes through, does that mean that Niagara District will stay open and that the motion that was defeated to close it on June 17th will be valid?
If trustee's motion goes through, the challenge goes through, you mean?
Yes.
And then he will have to make a ruling on the motion then, that it will be out of order. Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before the vote, let me remind trustees under Rule 53, every member present at a meeting of the board shall vote. And since it's a recorded vote, I will start with Trustee Clark, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Dane, Trustee Love,
Opposed.
Trustee Fulford,
Opposed.
Trustee Campbell,
In favor?
Trustee Ness,
Opposed.
Trustee Atamanyk,
In favor.
Trustee Lemlin,
In favor.
Trustee Height, Trustee Mays. Therefore, since there are not two-thirds of the trustees in favor of overruling the chair's decision, the appeal of the chair's ruling is lost and the chair's ruling stands. This means two-thirds of the members present must vote in favor of the motion to rescind for it to pass. The meeting is now turned back to Chair Mays. Thank you, Director. Trustee Atamanyk.
I have a point of order. Again, this motion to rescind is out of order because it refers to a motion from June 17, 2008, which was not duly passed and therefore does not exist for the following reasons. As previously explained, 3 consecutive motions for closure were defeated on June 17, 2008 before a 4th motion for closure was introduced. The 4th motion differed from the previous 3rd motion only in adding a condition of student numbers and changing the date of closure. This could have been done by simply amending the previous motion. Therefore, the closure motion 4 was a motion to reconsider. and required a two-step process in order to be legally passed according to our bylaws. And this has been outlined to us just recently. The first step was voting to reconsider a motion, which required a 2/3 majority vote. This was not done. Obviously, the step 1 vote would have never passed since the third motion to close Niagara District Secondary School had just been defeated by a 6-5 vote. If passed, the second step would have been voting on the actual motion, which required a majority vote. It begs the question, why was the advice on parliamentary procedure supplied to the chair by the secretary to the board so faulty? In my opinion, according to our rules of order. The reason stated in the minutes for going in this manner was there have been 4 separate motions and each referenced the date of closure. This reason is out of order in itself, for it is not based on any acceptable rules of order that were or can be referenced. It's simply a personal opinion, which has no value as far as parliamentary procedure is concerned. Since the first step was not taken, the second step could not be legally taken, and the motion was not legally passed according to rules of order and parliamentary procedure, which I believe we as trustees on this board are bound to follow by law. I ask now, in good faith, that the chair respect our board bylaws as required by law, and that the chair declare the 4th motion for the closure of Niagara District Secondary School that was considered on June the 17th, 2008, out of order, null and void, along with this motion to rescind, now under consideration here today. The result would be that Niagara District Secondary School would remain open for the foreseeable future and cannot be reconsidered for closure by an ARC process for at least 5 years from the previous ARC process. Of course, again, this would require all stakeholders to work diligently together, finally, in order to provide a viable and sustainable school for the students and community of Niagara and the Lake. Again, I repeat, they do deserve the best and nothing less.
Comments, Brenda?
Basically, my comments stay the same, that the ruling was made by the chair over a year and a half ago, almost 18 months ago, and under Bourneau's rules, the irregularity or anything about a challenge of a chair's ruling should have been done at that time and not now when there's been intervening events. But I'll also ask that Sheila McKinnon maybe comment on it as well.
Thank you, Brenda.
I agree, and you've already voted on whether or not a point of order can be made now as opposed to having been made a year and a half ago. So you've already had that challenge of the chair.
Essentially, that was the same challenge, just rephrased in a different respect. So I'm going to uphold my ruling that that is not in order, your motion. We do have a motion on the floor, which was the motion to reconsider.
Do I understand that the chair will not entertain a motion to challenge this ruling that's based on new legal arguments of parliamentary procedure?
We just had that challenge less than 5 minutes ago, and it did
The
not
challenge
carry.
was based on another legal item entirely. And I think we're ignoring the law here, and it opens us up to a judicial review, and somebody's going to get a judge to produce an injunction that's going to order that school to remain open if we don't work within the law.
It's entirely